Good morning. Welcome to Mojo Monday, Facebook Live. Waiting to see people get on. So before we get started, just saying a good morning. And if you sign on, please make sure you give me your sign in with your name, leave a little comment, say hello, and that way I know who's here. All right. Good morning, Annette. Nice to see you on. Okay, excuse me. Yeah, so good morning, Nadine. Glad you could come on too. Doing something a little different today. Now, how are things up in New York? We have a beautiful sunny day here today. Oh, hi, Grace. Oh, from Ontario. Hi, nice to see you. Oh, Carol, you're up early. Good for you. Okay, if some of you want to say where you're from, that would be cool to know too. So we see where everybody's joining in from. Marianne. Oh, and that's cold. Yeah, I know. I'm from Maryland. I'm near Baltimore, and the weather this time of year is sometimes really cold, sometimes warm. Different, each day you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, just looking at it's 40 degrees here, but feels like 33. So yeah, it's a little breezy. It's beautifully sunny. So I'm in my stateroom, nice and warm, and good to go. Marianne's from Florida. Are you feeling cold there? Probably cold as 60, right? That's right. My dad's in Florida, so is Carol, and so we're touch base with them all the time. They say, yeah, it's cold. It's 55 or 60. I said, well, I'd welcome that easily. Oh, yeah, it's the last day of Palindrome Week. Maria's kept us posted on that. Oh, well, it's been fun, right? Yeah, going to be 70 in Florida. Well, that's nice. That's moderate. Cool for Florida, I guess, but not too bad. Oh, I'm just looking at my papers here, and I think I lost one. Oh, no. I better maybe cut another one. Well, so if some of you are crafting along today, we're going to put together one card. I'll show you some different versions, or I'll do different versions depending on our time. And so what you are going to need, oh, I found my other strip. What you're going to need, if you don't do the whole card, you can always put it to a base later, but I'm going to show you a little technique that we're going to do. You need strips of designer series paper that are 3/4 by approximately 3 or 3.5, probably 3.25 is good. We're going to end up trimming some of it off anyway, so exact measurement to the length isn't a problem. A lot of times in our stash we have extra pieces of DSP or cardstock. You can do this with cardstock too, but DSP is nice and pretty. So I'm always having a lot of extra little strips, so I'm able to cut those down and use them for other projects. Never throw them away, right? Even the tiniest scraps I sometimes use. Let me show you one I did. Teeny tiny scraps of cardstock. I didn't throw them away. Use them on here for a nice plain and simple card, right? Clean and simple. Put a few embossed lines here. I popped these up on little dimension dots and had a cute little card. Smile, right? Hey, Carlos, good to see you. San Antonio. Bird bath is frozen. Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. Well, spring is coming. I know the ground is getting really muddy here when I go for my walks. I have to watch, so that's okay. That's right. All right, Nat, see you. Thanks for popping on. Talk to you soon. Okay, so the strips that you'll need, 4 of one design and 4 of another design. 3/4 by, say, about 3.25 or 3.5. Okay, so 4 of each. So if you want to run, get that done real quick. If you want to craft along, that's fine. And another piece that you will need to put those strips on is going to be a piece of white that's 2 inches by 2 inches by 5 1/4. 2 by 5 1/4. So if you don't have time to do any other cutting today to craft along, at least have these. All right. Also, you need a pencil and either a ruler or your grid paper, something that has a ruler measurements on there. Because we're going to make some little marks and decide where our paper, our little strips of designer paper will be. All right. So I'm going to be featuring in my little Mojo Monday today, I'm going to be featuring some designs that use celebrations things. Today's the last day of celebrations. It's been really fun. I've loved all the offerings for the free things and celebrations. And so tonight is going to be the last, I think it's 11 p.m. I believe it's 11 p.m. Mountain Time. So I'll double check that. I'll post it on Facebook for the things. Hi, Pat. Nice to see you. Glad you joined in. I'm running a mystery host raffle at noon today. So if you join in, if you want to add an order to this, I'm calling it a workshop, this mystery host workshop, then go to my, you can shop my online store, use the host code. Oh, I didn't bring it with me. I will have to read it to you. I posted on Facebook, but and it's also on my blog. The host code is current in the sidebar of my blog, but you have to use that host code. I think it starts with YM2. Let me get that up for you here. I'm sorry, I forgot to have that prepared. Okay, so if you use that host code, then for every $50 you spend, you will get to be in the mystery host raffle. So at noontime today, I'm going to spin a wheel with all the names on there and how many entries you have, and whoever wins gets the host rewards. Now, I do have 150 in orders right now, so the more there are, the more your rewards will be. At 150 level, you'll get $15 worth of rewards. And then 10% up to there. If we reach 300, you'll get 12% in rewards. And you will get the Kami Camellia host set. You cannot get this any other way except for hosting $300 workshop or up, okay, or $300 order. If you want to put in a $300 order by yourself, it would be as a workshop and you get that. So noontime, have your order in well before that if that's what you want to do. We're not going to be too long here today, so you'll have time after this if that's what you want to do. Good morning, Tina and Faye. Linda is with Faye. Okay, great. Yay. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. All right. Did I miss anybody else? Okay. Marianne, we already said. Okay. Very good. Oh, Lois is here. Okay. Sorry. So as I'm demonstrating or talking, sometimes I can't watch all the comments, but I will look at them later. So please make sure that you say a hello and where you're from, because I like to kind of see. That's fun that we're having a far reach from different places. Great. All right. Sorry if you're outside the U.S. I can't sell you Stampin' Up! Products, but you're still welcome to join in and watch the tutorials and stay in touch and participate in any of my classes. Okay, I can't sell you products, but if you want to do one of my classes, you can certainly do that. So that's fine. So we welcome anybody even outside the U.S., but you just can't be part of this mystery host. I'm sorry. Anyway, so hopefully you have handy your 2 by 5 1/4 inch white piece of cardstock. You have 4 strips at 3/4 inch wide by about 3 1/4 or thereabouts, and 4 of another pattern. I'm going to be using these today. These are from the Daffodil Afternoon 12 by 12 designer series paper. Look at all these beautiful patterns here. You have spring flowers and lots of daffodils, of course. And all the Stampin' Up! Paper is 2-sided, remember? So you have some kind of more plain pattern on one side and you have a floral print on the other. So a lot of beautiful things here. This could be free with a $50 order. This has been super popular. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Okay. So, like I said, the designer paper is 2-sided. So I chose the print for this one, the floral print, and I chose the dotted part for this one here. All right, the other side is also daffodils. I could easily have done this. That looks pretty too. But I will do this side instead. Okay, so if you haven't done that yet and you want to craft along, quick, get your trimmer and do that. Like I said, you'll need a pencil and you'll need a pencil and a ruler. Okay, like I said, either a ruler or use your grid paper. Okay. Okie dokie. I am going to just get a piece of cardstock. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, so the colors that are on that daffodil paper, just for your quick reference, we have black, we have crushed curry. I mean, a lot of them are right on this piece here, so I'll just read them off. Black, crushed curry, daffodil delight, evening evergreen, flirty flamingo, mint macaron, mossy meadow, pale papaya, pear pizzazz, and vanilla. All right, so a lot of the papers have white backgrounds. This one happens to be vanilla, but I'm using some that don't have much of that vanilla, so I'm actually going to be doing it on white. But just to let you know, if you were to be doing this, then you might want to match up with the vanilla. Or I've seen people mixing vanilla and white. That's okay for like a two-tone white. That's kind of pretty too. Okay. So if you don't have craft supplies handy with you today, you're not going to be crafting along, then you can certainly do this if you're watching the replay. Today is February 28th, 2022. And like I said, it is the last day of celebrations. So I'm going to be featuring some of the celebration projects. So if you're not crafting along, just have a cup of coffee and sit back and enjoy. Okay. I'm going to move my coffee out of the way so I don't spill it on anything. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around and show you what we're going to be doing today. So hang on. Like I said, it's hard for me to watch comments and craft at the same time. I was an elementary school teacher, so I am pretty good at multitasking, and I'll glance up, back and forth once in a while. But if I miss a comment, don't worry, I will answer your question or respond to it later. So just be patient, hang in there. Also, technology is such that you're not all live in front of me. Excuse me for the earthquake here. My computer arm got a little loose. Okay, so I'm going to show you something with Carmine Camellia later. Put that aside. Okay, so I have a card base that I'm going to score. It's 5.5 by 8.5. I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. And you can certainly have a card that opens with the fold at the top as well for this, as long as your card front is looking like this. All right, so if you wanted to have it 11 by 4 1/4 and score it halfway at 5.5, that's certainly fine too. Okay, so handy tool is your bone folder, so you get nice firm creases there. I don't like cards that pop open or don't have a nice crisp fold on the side. Okay, my next layer is going to be a piece of white. Now this can be embossed if you like, whatever you like. To be quick, I'm just going to leave it white for now. All right, so I'm just going to glue that down. I will show you one that I did emboss. I'll show you one later. All right, and then I'm just going to put that aside for a moment. And then we're going to get to what's going to be our focal point. So take your white strip and your 4 little strips of Designer Series paper. Keep those handy. On your white strip, we're going to make marks along the sides every 3/4 of an inch. All right, so if you want to use your grid paper, let me move this over a little bit. Oh, sorry about this, guys. You can use your grid paper or a ruler. I keep a very small 6-inch ruler on my craft table for purposes, you know, like if I'm measuring, I want to redo a card and say, wait, how much, what were those measurements there? It's very easy to use this. So nice, if I need to draw lines. So very small 6-inch usually works fine because most of your cards are not any bigger than that. Well, you can use your grid paper. I love the Stampin' Up! Grid paper to be able to get things straight and to also do these kind of measurements. So I'm going to mark off every 3/4, a little pencil mark on the side. 1, 2, 3, that's 1 1/2, 2 1/4. I'm not going to bother giving you all these measurements. I think you can just count off every 3/4. Don't want it to be too confusing. Sometimes more information is too confusing, right? And so just a little tick mark every 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and then do the same thing on the other side. Two, 3, 2, 3. 2 3/4, and then 3/4. So that should even out perfectly, and your lines are great on both sides. Now, if you have a silicone craft sheet, I'm sorry I didn't mention this before, but if you do have one of these, this is going to be very handy for today. Otherwise, make sure you have a piece of paper on your work table that you don't mind getting sticky, because we are going to have a little bit of extension of our adhesive, I believe. Okay, so I'll do this here, and hopefully while you're catching up, I'll tell you a little bit about Mojo Mondays. I have a VIP group. Now, this VIP group is a group of ladies that I worked with in New York. Well, it wasn't my career, but we did stamping together. They're customers, they're friends, they're, you know, fellow church members, and they're a group of maybe 15, 16 ladies that we would enjoy stamping together, hold workshops. And when I moved to Maryland, and I started a special, I didn't get to see them all the time, so we started a special Facebook group, and I call them my VIPs. It's a VIP Facebook page. I see some people have requested to join, but this is reserved for my dedicated customers, my downline, and I've invited people in as they've become regular customers of mine. So when that should happen, I will gladly send you an invitation to be part of our VIPs. All right. So in the meantime, please enjoy just this page, my Facebook page here, and we'll stay in touch with my newsletter and whatnot. So if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, you can go to my blog and sign up there. Weekly newsletters, you see specials, and a lot of you are already there because you've gotten this message. So anyway, all right, so what we're going to do, we're going to take one of those patterns of DSP, and we're going to create like a crisscross pattern. So I like to sort of hold this horizontally while I'm doing this. I'm going to lay the right side of my strip from this tick mark up to this corner. It was going to be like this. The ends will extend. Okay, that's why it didn't matter how long this strip was, just to make sure it goes past the white. All right, so mine are cut to about 3 1/4. No, yeah, about 3 3/8. It's just what I had. So as long as it crosses the white paper, you're good. So the right side of one of the strips will go on from the first tick mark up to the corner. Now, whichever one you want to see more of, and you'll understand this once you see the card, whichever one you want to see more of, save it to put on secondly. So this one is a little more subtle, so I'm going to do this one first. Okay, this, by the way, is called a crisscross ribbon card. All right, and I'm going to keep this kind of a secret, what the final project looks like, because I want you to be extra wowed. All right, so I'm going to put some glue from here. I'm going to put it on the back of this. So there will probably be glue on the ends here. That's why the silicone mat is good. I don't have to go all the way to the end, but I do know I don't want it hanging off my cardstock either. I don't want it flipping. Okay, so the right side of the strip from the tick mark up to the corner. All right. And then you're going to continue with the same color, making those diagonals from the next tick mark on the what we call the bottom, because it's facing me, to the other tick mark on the top. We're going to put the 4 of them across like that. So go ahead, take your teaser, then do that. Okay, so this, as I was saying, Mojo Monday started with my VIPs when we first did a workshop in 2020. I was on the road to do a workshop up in New York, and we decided to cancel as I was on my way because COVID was not looking good, and a day or two later, lockdown came. So it was, I decided to say, well, I heard of something called Zoom, and, so we decided to do an online workshop, and we enjoyed getting together virtually since we couldn't do it in person. And so from there, we said, well, let's meet every Monday morning. So that's what I do for my VIPs. So if you become a regular customer or you're part of my downline, you'll be invited to that Facebook group, and you can join in on some of our meetings. Okay, so you have 4 diagonals. They're all parallel. And it should look like that. Okay, so that's what I said. The back is going to get sticky. It's okay, but eventually we will trim this off. But now we're going to take the other pattern, and we are going to go in the opposite direction. Okay, so I started, just for my benefit, I started from the right side, went to the left because I was able to go to the corner there. And for the next color, I'm going to start going this way. All right, now just so I can see this corner a little bit easier, I can see exactly where to lay my paper. I'm just going to trim this part off for now. I'll just trim all the rest later. I have a dedicated I have a dedicated pair of scissors that I keep for sticky things like this. Anything that's gluey, sticky, dimensional dots, glue dots. This is my go-to scissor because I don't want to sort of contaminate, get my other scissors sticky and use them on something I don't want to get sticky. Okay, so now I'm going to take my other color and go from the left side. I'm going to go from this point here to that corner. All right, let me move this up a little better. All right, so from this point up to the corner. And we're going to glue those down. All right, so this is called the twisted ribbon because it's going to look like ribbon that's kind of twisted back and forth and zigzagging around. All right, so with your strips, if you have a pattern that goes one particular direction, for this you might want to either consciously make them go all the same direction, or you can purposely mix them up so that it's not an issue which way it goes. All right, so we are going to attach this to our card this way. So this one sort of has a direction. I chose this because it's not too obvious of a direction. It does have the swirly lines, the leaves, but once it's cut up, you really don't see that, so it can go either way. But as you're lining that up, sometimes think about how you're arranging your pieces. For instance, these two have some flowers. Let me move it up again. These two have some flowers kind of right in the middle, and these don't have as much flowers. So rather than line them up in this order, I'm kind of thinking about it. I'm thinking, well, maybe I'd want it mixed up a little bit. So look at your patterns and go from there. So I'm even looking here and seeing, well, this one has both white things on top, but the bottom is kind of plain. So I think I might just turn that one around, just so it looks a little bit more random. So think about how you want to do all that. Same thing here. There's white and white. Now those little white flowers, I'm going to turn it around so that it's mixed up. It doesn't look too much all in a row and then nothing on the top. So now that I have my order, we're going to glue that onto the white cardstock. Starting on the left. Again, from this point up to the left corner. And then we'll continue to put the strips in parallel lines across, going from the left of the pale papaya to the left of this one up here. Okay, so you'll know if you've done it right, because if it looks like this, it's not parallel, right? So just say, okay, it's parallel, so it's got to go to this point where the white cardstock and the other DSP crosses. All right, so just think of it logically. Sometimes we get caught up with, oh, what's the measurement? What's the measurement? Or which side is it? Just look at it objectively and see what makes sense. Okay, so then once we started meeting for Mojo Mondays, we did little projects, and then I said, well, maybe I would like to do some YouTube videos. So I started recording those Mojo Mondays, and then that becomes a basis for video tutorials that I share on YouTube. I take a couple days to edit them, and then they go up onto YouTube. But my VIPs get to see it first. We get to talk, we get to chat, catch up on life, and they get to ask questions immediately after, and share their projects as they craft along. So it's fun. We have a great time. Okay. So this is what you should end up having. This is what it looks like on the back. A real mess, right? Careful not to put your front on your sticky part. All right. So you have that. And then with your sticky scissors, you're going to trim all around the white cardstock. You're just going to cut off that excess. And it is sticky. So this is the Daffodil Afternoon DSP, Free with Celebrations. It coordinates with a very pretty stamp set in the mini catalog. I do not have that one to show you. I have a lot of things, but I can't get everything. Okay, so now that I have that, look at the effect we get. Looks like a twisted ribbon, right? Isn't that cool? Oh, we're in Vermont. Okay, hi from sunny Vermont, joining here. Okay, catch the replay. All right. Hi, Debbie. Nice to see you. I haven't heard from you. I was wondering if you'd join on today. I hope things are good. All right, so there's your twisted, looks like a ribbon that you've done this way, where you have the like two tones to the ribbon, something on the front and something on the back. Isn't that really cool? Love it. Love it. Okay, then we're going to get a base color to mat this. We're going to eventually put it on here. If you want, you can put it on just as is. I like to give it an extra little matte. And so I'm going to choose, you can either use the same color. I have Evening Evergreen here. matches up with some of the colors on here, and I think I'm going to use a contrasting color. So because I have a lot of pale papaya here, I'm actually going to, I think, try the mint macaron. All right, I haven't made this particular version of this card yet, but I'm going to see what that looks like. So I'm going to get some mint macaron. Okay. And just for some contrast. All right, and so now that mat, I made, this one isn't quite tall enough. I need a little bit taller. Is this one tall enough? No, I need to cut a big piece down. Excuse me. Okay, so it's up to you if you want to just leave it like this and have the mat showing on both sides and have your twisted ribbon just meet up with your front layer. Just for something, well, actually, I'll do it that way just to show you how that looks. So that means I can use this piece. In my instructions, well, that one's a little short. My instructions, I suggested, let's see, well, that is just a tiny bit short too. Okay, I suggested 5 1/2 to match up with the card by 2 1/4 to be just a 1/4 inch wider, so you get that 1/8 of an inch on both sides. Okay, so I'll show you what it looks like if you don't have the border on the top and the bottom, and you just have the 2 1/2 by 4 1/4, which is the size of this. So I'll get my trimmer. I'm going to go to 2 1/2 by 5 1/4, so it's the same as this here. Okay. Like I said, you can do 5 1/2 and have the border go all the way up to the size of your card, but that's up to you. You can decide that. And now I just want to show you, look at, we only have 1/8 of an inch showing on either side here, and all of this inside is wasted. Well, around the Stamp with Lorraine craft room here, we try not to waste. So I'm going to use my Everyday Label Punch, and I'm going to get my sentiment mat, my label, out of this piece, so I don't have to use another piece. All right, so you can cut that right in there. If you work it properly, you can even get 2. So I'm going to do that, especially since I don't have something showing on the top. Not that I'm stingy, guys, but I'm just looking at opportunities to, oh, my button popped off. I pushed it the wrong way. All right, well, can I get another one here? I just like every opportunity to use my card stock. I love it so much. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to use one of these and put the other side for later. And now when I put this over, it's not going to be seen. And you have 2 labels out of it, right? So a little bit of glue on the edges. If you're using the liquid adhesive, it's great because you can move it around once it's on there to make sure things are straight. But you do want to just use thin beads. If you have fat beads, when you press it down, it's going to smear further. So use like a thin bead as you're going across. That's why I kind of do it fast to get it going. And then I get these little thin beads, which is just the right amount to mount on my paper without smearing. All right, so now I have that nice thin border, and I've gotten my labels out of there. Okay, so now that's going to go onto my card front. Now, those of you who are crafting along, whether you're doing it live or later on, I will start a post where you can add your versions of this card. Okay, I'm not sure if you can create your own post on this particular page. I think somebody said they tried and it was tricky, so I have to look into that. What I see on my end is a little different from what you see. So, managing the post, actually. So if I do a post, you can definitely write in as a comment and show your pictures there. Okay, so there we go. We have that. And I'm going to use this as my label on there. And I said I would show you a way of cutting this down so I could stamp my sentiment on there. And then you have like a little mat there. So if you have a stamp similar to this, you can certainly try this. Okay, so I'm going to stamp the same thing in white. Okay, and if you like, you can actually stamp this first with your sentiment and then cut around it. But I want to show you what it looks like so that you know what the size will end up being. Okay, so you can't layer those because they're the same size. They obviously won't be seen. So what we want to do is we want to make it a little less wide and a little less tall, right? So here's the trick. You can do this with most of these label punches. Take your piece that you've already cut, and we're going to feed it in the side, and we're going to, you can decide depending on what your sentiment is and how much border you want on your colored cardstock. You can just feed it in from the side, and wherever you cut, make sure it's lined up here. Wherever you cut, it's going to be this wide. Whatever you see through that little window, that's how wide it's going to be. If you want something really skinny and tall, you can get something cute like that, right? And remember, if you cut it like that, you can always hold it sideways and have it go this way. So if you have a very tiny sentiment, make it even smaller, right? And maybe just use this, put it on an oval or something. So a lot of things you can do with that. I'll try to get more examples of that up later. But I'm going to make mine just a little shorter. I'm going to use these little points here as a guide, up here and down here. So I'm going to just put them so they're just barely seen. Again, it's up to you how much you want. The important thing is to just hold it lightly without cutting. Make sure you're lined up here because you don't want it to look crooked. Okay. I get a little crazy when I do things crooked by accident. And let me tell you, it happens to us all. Okay, so now I have a piece that is definitely not as wide. And that looks kind of cool too. But I want it to be also not as tall. So you can use your trimmer, which is a little tricky, or you can use a large pair of scissors with long blades. You don't want a short blade because you don't want to go, cut with multiple slices and not have a clean cut. So two things you can do. You can either use your trimmer, and you can cut from that point to this point here, or however much you want. It's up to you. But remember, if you're going to put it up against here, because it's rounded, it has a tendency to wiggle. So you're going to have to hold it pretty firmly. I am cutting off 1/4 of an inch, so I'm lining it up here. That's how I really know it's straight. I also see that point is in the track where my cutting blade will go. But it's much easier to see the line here and know that I'm lined up. Then same thing over here. It's going to line up with my 1 1/4 inch line. So I'm cutting off that 1/4 inch there. So I'm going to hold the edge, and I'm going to slowly slice up with my trimmer. And I will have that nice cut there. Okay. Like I said, when you do your second side, it might be a little more tricky because you have less to hold on to. Or if you wanted, you can take your long blade scissors and just do a nice cut right along there. So whatever works for you. And now we have an extra little layer for your label. Okay, so try that with different ones and see how it works, and share them if you have a different label that you've done it with. That makes it nice and fun. So, and speaking of sentiments, special moments is something you get for celebrations. It is only available with a $100 order. You can choose this one. It has a lot of different sentiments, and Stampin' Up! Does have a lot of sentiments with their stamp sets. Like the Calming Camellia has some beautiful ones with the images, kind of coordinates in style, but it is nice to have one set that has a lot of sentiments that you can choose from, just to keep this handy. It can be your go-to all the time. That and Many Messages is another stamp set that also has the die cuts. So I'm going to find something that matches with it. Maybe just a little high from me will be nice. Okay, look at all these here. Little, where is that one? Here it is. Sometimes it's hard to see the little writing through the photopolymer. Okay, so this has a lot of stamps, so that's why they're on both sides of the case. Okay, so now, because it's photopolymer, it is easy to see through to make sure you're getting it straight. And not to dirty up my mat here, I'm just going to bring another little piece of grid paper in. And I like to test it anyway. Because it's a new stamp, I want to make sure it's stamping properly, make sure I've inked it up well enough, and practice getting it straight. So I like to use my grid lines on there. So let's give it a whirl. And I see I got a little smudge on there, unfortunately. So I might just have to cover that with something. Let me try my little eraser here, see if that helps. You might not be able to see that, but I see it. Actually, that's helping. All right, I think we're good. I get a little obsessive sometimes, but then that's okay. You could be as picky as you like. Okay, let's hope it worked out properly. Okay, well, that is a little crooked. Anyway, so I can do that again later. So that's one reason why it's good to sometimes stamp first. Let me show you. You can stamp first. And then, see, even though I did it crooked there, you can make it straight once it's in your label. And that makes it a lot easier than making sure that you stamp it straight. Okay, so I will cut this one down later and adhere it to here. And then you can put it on your card with some dimensional dots or sticky foam sheets, little hexagon shapes. If you are an avid stamper, you're well acquainted with these. And you find little backings all over your house because you track them around. Just these little backs come off. They're double-sided foam dots. And it gives a little height to the element that you are featuring on your card. Okay, like I said, we'll put that on there, and nice little card. So the rest of the card is pretty easy. This is not difficult, just takes a little bit more time cutting and laying those down and measuring, but makes for a nice effect, doesn't it? Okay, so I'll put together the better one later, but here's another one that I made with a retired designer series paper that coordinated with a set called Poppy Moments. This one I embossed with my favorite embossing folder, Tasteful Textile. It is just a subtle look that really gives a little extra background. I'm sorry if my video is freezing. People are saying that. Okay, so but you found a dimensional backing in your driveway, Debbie. Oh, that's okay. I know people have found them, in their clothes, in the bathroom. What, I know they're funny, right? Okay, All right. Yeah, it's a good way to use up the scraps, isn't it? I agree. I agree, Nancy. Thanks for your comment there. Okay, so those are 2 ideas on how to use your scraps and make that zigzag twisted ribbon card. All right. So just to kind of wrap some things up, people who might have joined late or missed the beginning, today is a mystery host day. If you place an order using a specific host code, I will write that down for you right here. Get Post-it. All right, I'll look it up on my phone and I'll write it down right here for you. If you use this host code, you will be entered into a raffle to be the host and get the rewards for this workshop. And you can earn 10% of the total workshop sales. And you will, if we reach 300, you'll also get the Calming Camellia. And at 300, you get 12% of the sales. So that's kind of neat. So whatever the sales are ending up being combined, that's fine. If your order is over $150, then you would get your own host rewards. So anything $150 and up. Our combined orders right now for the workshop is at $150. So it's definitely a go. I will spin the wheel at 12. So if you haven't placed an order and you still want to, you can still have time to do that. So I'm glad you liked the card, Faye. Thank you. I discovered that technique not too long ago. So I said, oh, this will be a fun thing to show, right? All right, so I'm going to get that host code. You should use the host code. You have to use the host code to be entered into this particular raffle. All right, just so I know that it belongs to this particular workshop. All right. Okay, 1 second. I'm getting the host code for you. All right, if you don't have an order in time for noon today raffle, it's okay. You will still get the celebration rewards. You'll get a free gift with every $50 you spend. And it'll go until this evening. All right. All right. So here's your host code. YM2 W39V6. Right, and you'll be asked for the host code during checkout. So watch for that. You can go to StampitUp.com and put me in as your demonstrator, or I created a link for you to click on and you can go direct to my online store. Okay, so that's that. So speaking of Calming Camellia, this is a very pretty set that's called Distinctive. I'll leave that right there, where it has very realistic shading to the stamps itself. And it creates such a pretty card. You really don't have to do anything with it. If you're a beginning stamper and you're lucky enough to get this, not much time left, I know, but a stamp like this, there are a lot that are distinctive, that's called distinctive in the regular and the mini catalogs, then you don't need much. 1 ink color, white cardstock, and 1 accent color that could match your ink. I'm going to show you one with Highland Heather. I showed some in pinks on my Facebook page the other day, showing off the stamp set. I'm going to make sure that's all inked up. Sometimes it's easier with your big stamps to just use the stamp pad to the stamp itself. Okay, now I'm looking very carefully and I'm seeing I got a little ink on the edge here. So 2 things you can do. You can carefully wipe it off, or you can be careful not to wobble your stamp and get that on your paper. So I'm going to do that because it's pretty easy. A nice white stamp. You don't really feel like you have to wobble it. Some of the things that have a small sentiment, you can't help it. They wobble a little bit. Okay, so... Okay. Oh, I'm glad you liked it, Carlos. All right, so look how pretty that is. Just with 1 ink, 1 stamp, Bam, you're done. Now, let me leave that out for my sentiment, and you can just mount that. I'm going to mount that on Gorgeous Grape. And then if you just mount that on a plain white card, put a sentiment here. Look how pretty that is. Let me show you one that I did in Gorgeous Grape ink with the Gorgeous Grape outline and Gorgeous Grape for the Happy Birthday, which comes with the stamp set. So you don't need a lot of supplies, just white cardstock, a little accent border, same color ink, monochromatic, nice and easy, clean and simple. Bam, you're done. This could be a sympathy card, birthday, okay, any occasion, probably female though, but that's up to you. I don't want to assume men don't like flowers either, because they do. Okay, so if you want to step it up a notch, you can take a colored base. I have Highland Heather, the same as my ink. I have a white layer that I'm going to stamp my sentiment on, and I'm going to layer it with the Gorgeous Grape just to add a little extra. So it's just extra layers, but not any more difficult, to be honest, right? So I'm going to stamp my sentiment down there. I'm going to do You Make Me Smile because my stamping friends and stamping does make me smile. One of my favorite things, obviously. Okay, stamp your sentiment on your layer before you attach it to your card. We know if you make a mistake, you do not want to have to take your card apart or throw it all away. I like to line up my paper with my cardstock on my grid paper. Kind of helps me just eyeball everything else. I have a piece of hair here. Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. And down here. Oh, see, this one I was rushing and I got ink on the edge too. Let me clean that off and flip it over and do it again. I'm going to be very careful this time. All right, see, like I said, this is a thin one, so it is hard not to get some of that on there. Okay, much better. So then you can just layer that. And it looks just a little bit more involved. If you wanted to, you can pop this up with dimensional dots to make it even a little fancier. And so you have two versions of a similar card, right? Look for the pink ones on my Facebook post too, because they're really pretty as well. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. And let me just review what the celebration things are. I don't have tons of samples with all of these cards, but Island Vibes, real fun. I was going to show you how that works. You have a nice little corner stamp. This one is distinctive as well. You can see the realistic shading on there, right? So Island Vibes, and you get the three stamps, and that is Celebrations for $50 order. Friendly Hello pairs with Designer Series paper for $100 order. You get those two things combined for free. You cannot get them separately. Okay, so here are some cards using that. This paper here is from Friendly Hello. This is from Heart and Home, a different set that you can, DSP that you can buy. So Friendly Hello, the stamp set, the designer paper. I love these birds. I love the pool party with the black. That's my favorite. I just love these cards. I'm going to have to make a bunch of these, maybe different colors too. This is one we did with color blocking. I put that on my Facebook page, and also it's a YouTube. You can see how you can make these different squares and use DSP or cardstock. So this uses all of the same DSP. All right, then there's Awesome Otters. I have just a couple cards with this that some of them I gave away, and another one is for a class that is exclusive for people who have bought into this class. So it's my sketch program. So I don't share those outside because it's exclusive to the people who are participating in that. But there was a cute card I did with that. And then, of course, there is the rainbow paper. 6x6. You have 4 each of 12 designs for 48 sheets. Lots of different patterns. Again, you have rainbows and it's sunshine and rainbows. You have stripes. You have different little subtle patterns to mix and match with that. And here are some cards we made a while ago with that designer paper. Posted these on the Facebook page as well. You may have seen them. Here's another card we did at a workshop with the daffodil paper. And here's my latest YouTube tutorial on how to make a spanner card, S-P-A-N-N-E-R, because this little piece spans from one side of the card to another, kind of like a little bridge, and you have different flaps you could open up with your card. Okay, so this uses the friendly hello. This uses the rainbows. You put a little window sheet here to make it see-through. So if you want to know how to make that, look up that on YouTube. Okay, and this one we put our thanks die cut right on the window sheet. And this is uses the daffodil. Isn't that pretty? I love that one with that background there. Okay, so that's another design. I keep these in here because I don't want them to get caught on anything. And then, again, here's more of the daffodil paper. And another one. Actually, these all use the daffodil paper. So all the different things you can do with those, right? A lot of options. So I hope you, if you haven't ordered yet, you want to be part of the raffle, do it by noon. And otherwise, you can take the rest of the day. Take your time. Don't rush. But after today, celebrations is over. So you will not be able to get your free stuff. So take advantage of that. And I hope you enjoyed the project. And I'll put more of the information online, and I'll post the cards and see what we did. I'll post this Facebook Live to YouTube as well, so people there can see it. And if you haven't yet signed up for my newsletter, you can do that from stampwithlorraine.com, and you'll stay posted on a lot of information with Stampin' Up! And things that are happening, and get some free tips and some tutorials as well. All right, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great day. You have an hour left until the spinning of the mystery host. Join on back and look at that. It'll take just 2 minutes. And otherwise, we'll see you, and happy stamping. Thanks for joining on. Okay, where can you post your card, Carlos? I will, I never finished anything in class. I know that feeling. Oh my gosh. I absolutely know. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see me. I'm kind of the slow person too. I love stamping with my friends and everything, but I am definitely more productive. I'm more productive when I just work quietly on my own. So you can, I will create a post on this Facebook page here of the cards we made today, and then you can post yours as a comment to that post. All right, that will be, I think, the easiest way, and that way they'll all be together. We don't have to see all these separate posts. So just leave it as a comment. You can write something. You can click the little icon that has a camera or a picture of your card, and then you can just post that on with your comment. Okay. All right, so I can't wait to see what you all might have tried. The fun thing is where you see one design and you see what everyone has done with it. Okay, different paper, different colors. That's what's really fun. Or you take a little piece of it that you wanted to change, you know. I have some adventurous stampers who like to change things a little up, you know, do it a different orientation, do, you know, add a little something, take away a little something, just do it in a slightly different way, put something offset instead of straight. So a lot of ideas. Okay, so yes, I will post these, and then in comments to that post, Carlos, you can add your own cards there. All right. So yes, don't be shy. It's okay. Put your things up there. That's what we love to see. All right. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions or comments? People have been enjoying their celebration things that you've ordered already. Okay. If you have some of the celebration things, what do you like? Tell me. Okay, I know, like I said, I know the daffodils have been very popular. The rainbows have been very popular. Okay, so yeah, I'll leave comments on that Facebook page, whether you post a picture or not. It's okay. And okay, thanks, Debbie. Thanks for joining on. And we'll see you all at noon. See who the mystery host is. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay. Be in touch. Email me or leave a message here if you have any other questions. Okay. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. Bye.